Boris Johnson will hold a Downing Street press conference with Alex Sharma on the final outcome of COP26 at 5 p.m. today. Number 10 confirmed the Prime Minister and the COP26 President will hold the briefing later on Sunday. It comes after the two-week Crunch Climate Summit came to a close on Saturday following 24 hours of extra time. Coal pledges in the Glasgow Pact were watered down at the last minute after a push by India and China. But it was the first time a UN climate agreement has mentioned fossil fuels. Speaking yesterday following the conclusion of the summit, Mr. Johnson said, "We asked nations to come together for our planet at COP26, and they have answered that call. I want to thank the leaders, negotiators and campaigners who made this pact happen, and the people of Glasgow who welcomed them with open arms. I also want particularly to thank COP President Alex Sharma, who has worked incredibly hard to bring countries together. There is still a huge amount more to do in the coming years, but today's agreement is a big step forward and, critically, we have the first ever international agreement to phase down coal and a roadmap to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees. I hope that we will look back on COP26 in Glasgow as the beginning of the end of climate change, and I will continue to work tirelessly towards that goal." Mr. Sharma appeared on the verge of tears at the close of the conference as he apologized for the way the final change on coal had been carried out. The former business secretary told the BBC's Andrew Marsh show that he was emotional after getting very little sleep at the end of the summit. He said, "In terms of what happened yesterday, we managed to get an enormous amount over the line. On a personal level, I have invested enormous amounts of the last 2 years into this. I've been out to see countries, talked to people on the front line of climate change, and of course I'd had about 6 hours sleep in 72 hours previously. So it was an emotional moment." Mr. Sharma also insisted the summit had kept 1.5 degrees Celsius within reach. He told Sky News' Trevor Phillips on Sunday programme, "What you heard from the floor yesterday was first of all appreciation of what the UK has done, but also acknowledgement that this deal does indeed keep 1.5 C within reach. I can tell you that I have had lots of messages since last night from ministers in many of those climate vulnerable countries, thanking us for what the UK has done, for the fact we've closed off the Paris rulebook, for the fact that there is more money on the table to support them. As I said, this is a start. We've got 1 year of our presidency, we need to make it count, and that means we need to hold countries to account for the commitments that we were made, and those commitments have to be translated into action. For the very first time in this deal, what we have got is an agreement that next year countries are going to have to come back and look at their 2030 commitments. We've got for the very first time a commitment that every year ministers at a high level are going to meet to discuss this issue, and, not only that, but there is going to be a report every year on how we are doing, tracking these commitments on reducing emissions. Those are all historic firsts, but, as I said, we now need to make sure those commitments are delivered upon.